action is the medicine that's going to make everything fall into place and help us to make our dreams come true, like you said.
Yeah, expect detours, but don't let fear or the lack of knowledge or the lack of clarity on how to solve for it stop you in your tracks.
So for every fear, there's a polar opposite. For every problem, there's a solution. We just have to pick ourselves up out of the emotion long enough to find it.
Welcome to Career Compass, mapping your future. Visit yourcareerrevolution.com today to get your free guide on the benefits of working with a career ownership coach. Welcome back to Career Compass, the podcast dedicated to helping you map your future as you reimagine and reclaim the life of your dreams. Oh man, this is the final episode in our 10-part series where we were walking you through the 10 steps to your ideal career. Over the past 9 episodes, we've unpacked everything from defining your goals to breaking free from some of those limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. We also spoke about embracing lifelong learning and expanding what you believe is possible for your life and your career. Today, we bring it all together with the step that separates the dreamers from the doers. We're talking about taking meaningful action. As a matter of fact, talking about taking meaningful action, if you haven't done this yet, first and foremost, we want to thank you for trusting us and going on this journey with us. And as a thank you, we want you to go to careercompassshow.com and grab your very own copy of Your Career Revolution, Reimagine and Reclaim the Life of Your Dreams. Just let us know where to send that to. We will be more than happy to do that. And joining me one last time, at least for this season, is organizational psychologist and executive coach, Dr. Mike Smith. Doc, oh my gosh, what can I say? I have enjoyed our conversations so much. Some of them were a little hard, right? Like we went places where maybe it made us feel a little uncomfortable, but I appreciate you so much because I think when we dare to go out of our comfort zone, that's where the magic happens.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much, T. It's been great. And I'm looking forward to this one because today's episode and this topic specifically, if we don't embrace this one and actually make sure we don't let the start stop us, then everything else we've talked about for the last nine episodes is kind of irrelevant, right? It's just information and education. But to put that all together and actually step out and make the decision to take action, action is the enemy of anxiety, right? So when we're sitting around stewing or thinking or trying to make that decision, or we've made the decision but haven't stepped out yet, action is the medicine that's going to make everything fall into place and help us to make our dreams come true, like you said.
Oh my goodness. Don't let the start stop us. How did you say that?
Yeah, don't let the start stop you.
Oh my gosh. It makes me think of that book, and I've mentioned it many times, by Dr. Brian Clemmer, where he says, if how-tos were enough, we'd all be skinny, rich, and happy, right? So for the last 9 episodes, we've been gathering the information. We've been dreaming. It is all fun, right? But now this is where the rubber meets the road. Why action matters and bridging the gap from dream to reality. Let's be honest, right? It is fun dreaming. I love bantering back and forth with you, thinking about what could be possible. But boy, now when it's time to take action, this is when things get real. And honestly, this can be quite scary. It is easy, so easy to get stuck in the, well, this was great, this was nice. Someday, one day when I have a little bit more time, one day when I feel a little bit more prepared, one day, right? That day will never come. And, whether it's fear or procrastination, maybe overwhelm, or simply not knowing where to start, I have learned that on my own journey, that clarity comes from action, not just from thinking about things more. Waiting until I feel comfortable or confident are likely feelings that are always going to elude me. So think about it. It's not about once you feel 100% confident, 100% comfortable, right? It's about educating yourself, And once you have the education, look, it's not about jumping off of cliffs or being reckless, right? You have the information. Now it's about making an informed choice. And I know that does take commitment and that absolutely takes courage. But oh my gosh, once you've mustered up the courage to at the very least take that first step, I have found that confidence, pride, the feeling of accomplishment and empowerment, and a whole bunch of other miraculous and amazing things happen. So, Doc, I've said a whole bunch there again because I get so excited, but why don't we unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is so important for all of us to remember, right, as you go down this journey, and especially, go through the exercise with your career coaches, one of the things we have to remember, right, is we're not starting over from scratch. We're starting from experience. So is it a new chapter? Yes. Is it something new? Yes. Is it possibly a new direction? Yes. But you're not starting over from scratch. You're starting from experience. Leverage the foundation and the experience and the education that you have to make that first step. And you said something about those little small wins, those little small decisions, all those little road signs, right? And markers along the journey to success. Every time you accomplish a little step, every time you overcome a small thing, every time you create that habit of small daily action steps, those build up to eventually bigger steps and bigger steps. And oh, yeah, by the way, along the way, you increase self confidence, self esteem, awareness, motivation, joy, right? And the list goes on. And all of those things will trump and squash fear, anxiety, doubt, worry, right? So just keep that momentum step by step moving forward. And it's psychologically proven the benefits of moving forward and not letting those negative things like anxiety, worry, fear stop you, but use them as fuel to create the joy, the excitement, the increased self-esteem, and all the other things we talked about. So there is so much to be said about action. Can you imagine how boring an NFL game would be if both sides stepped out onto the field and they just kind of stood there and looked at each other? Hey, what's up? How you doing? 60 minutes of that? Like it would just be, start shutting off the TV and checking out. But action, right? Movement, forward momentum is what keeps us going.
Absolutely. Because dreams without action, what are they really? Maybe their hopes, their aspirations. It's just a wish. But I love how you say, like, if we can just take one step and that meaningful action, one, it's just the pride that comes with the accomplishment. It's like, I had the courage to do something about it today. And there are so many tools out there. I mean, this podcast series is a form of education. We've exposed people to some of the tools like the pod assessment, right? The possibilities, options, and dreams assessment, or the thought exercises like the I.L.W.I, the income, the lifestyle, the wealth, and the equity, goals, needs, and expectations exercise. But one of the things that I love is it's not just about the tools. Tools are absolutely leverage. However, a, um, it's joining a community where people encourage each other, right? I know for me, oh my gosh, I am a junkie when it comes to self-help books and podcasts and Audible. I could listen to it all day long. And I'm like, T, why are you consuming all this information if you're not going to do anything about it? And that, in many ways, is the hardest part. Once you take that first step, usually you realize, like, oh my gosh, okay, the world did not end. If anything, I made progress. Like you said, it's actually good for the human spirit, right? Because you're proud of having done something that you were so scared about. And all these little things over time compound. So when you look back, you say, oh my gosh, okay, was the road to success messy? Absolutely. A lot of zigs, a lot of zags, but at least I had the courage to move in that direction. Because you're right, like in a sports game, if you would just stand there and wait, nothing good ever comes from that. Nothing's going to happen. That's for sure.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah. And I think, it's really, it's really interesting too, as you start to go down this journey of taking action. That's my tagline. If you look at my website, meaningful change through intentional actions, right? So taking those intentional actions and those steps to follow your dream results in meaningful change, right? So again, everything that you all do with your career coaches to help people unpack and explore and find that alignment, that just is the first step in a natural path to unlocking, unleashing everything that you have in you to pour in and give your gift to the world.
Absolutely. And there's a science behind it, right? The science of goal setting and taking action, right? Let's shift from theory to practice. At the Entrepreneur Source, our coaching journey and our methodology is actually very, very intentional. We don't just ask people, hey, doc, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? All right, this is nice. Okay, now we have a nice vision for you. That is not everything. It is great to know directionally where you want to go, but the hardest part is, like we've been saying, is taking that first step. And what I love about our coach community is that coach who can really prick your conscience about, okay, now what? Right? What if you don't take action now that you have the information? 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, when you look back, will there be any remorse? Will there be any regret? Right? The Chinese proverb goes, the best time to plant a tree would have been 10 years ago or maybe 5 years ago, but the best next time is now, right? So just somebody who could really prick your conscience about, why am I not taking action? Right? Again, we're not asking people to jump off cliffs. We're just asking them to take a baby step towards what they say they want.
Yep. Yeah, and to wrap that piece up, I think it would be so worth anyone who has just that little feeling inside. You can tell, right? If you can always sense inside if there's something more out there, right? If you're meant to do more, if you're called to be someone that you're currently not, you can feel it inside, right? It nags at you. And the beautiful thing again about what you all do is it costs nothing to explore the potential opportunities, to satisfy that little nagging, to see where it can lead to and what doors can open, right? So I think, again, that in itself is a huge action step that could set you on a path to somewhere you never thought even was possible.
I know. And sometimes people think, oh my gosh, that sounds too good to be true. Like, how can it be that an organization like ours will offer up something at no charge? Right. And that goes back to our founder's mission and his vision, which was, yeah, I mean, lofty for sure, but to empower humanity to figure out what it will take to be self sufficient. Trust me, we're not just doing this because we're independently wealthy and we've got nothing better to do. We do get compensated, but we help so many more people that who can just explore what's possible. So our commitment to the general public is, if you are willing to invest in yourself, we are willing to invest in you. Look, we cannot take the steps for you. We cannot do the hard work for you. It would be like, I always like to say, like training for the Olympics, right? If your goal is to become a gold medalist, you will bring on the best coach possible. And they're going to be hard times, right? When you need to exercise more than you really feel like it, when you think you have already given it your all and you cannot take another step further, it's a little bit of a love hate relationship, right? Because a coach is designed to take you out of your comfort zone. But boy, once you've trained hard and you worked hard and you do finally get that gold medal, oh my gosh, you're that coach that you hated, getting you up at 5 a.m. in the morning, making you work so hard and making you break a sweat, you will love that. And this is what we're doing too. We believe in your dreams. In some instances, some days more than you do yourself, right? Because it's human nature to sometimes have these highs and these lows where I can do it. And why am I so hard on myself? And then, oh crap, who am I to think that I can pursue this dream, right? And the tools and the resources are designed to get you incrementally towards that. And really, a coach is there to be a sounding board, an accountability partner, and sometimes give you that swift kick in the butt when you absolutely need it.
Yep, 100%. Agree with everything that you just said. And that can't be the power of that support, right? And someone to ask those questions, to help you unpack, to nudge you when you need it. Just the importance of that cannot be understated enough. I mean, that it's critical. And again, for you all doing what you do to help thousands, tens of thousands discover and uncover who they're truly meant to be is just amazing. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. And you know what I love about what we get to do? I mean, it is a time tested process. It's not only time tested, as a matter of fact, it is patented at this moment in time, right? And the methodology is a paint by number approach. We've literally held tens of thousands of people and shepherded them through this journey of discovery where they can think about the life that they want to create, right? We do this through very simple exercises where we allow them to create a vision for their future, and then we allow them to prioritize their goals. Of course, there are going to be challenges along the way, but what if we looked at those challenges and those obstacles not as roadblocks, but turned our fear and into curiosity, turned our fear into questions like, okay, what would need to happen in order for me to, get beyond this roadblock? Another analogy I like to use is like, what happens if you and I were to, go on a road trip and we drive through Death Valley, right? Part of the plan was not to have a puncture, but boy, what happens if we do, right? Do we just give up and say, oh, well, I guess this is how the story ends? No, right? We become creative, we figure things out, right? So, yeah, expect detours, but don't let fear or the lack of knowledge or the lack of clarity on how to solve for it stop you in your tracks. And the other thing, sometimes I think the stories we tell ourselves in our own minds are way bigger and way more insurmountable than the actual reality of what actually happens, right? I don't know whether you've experienced that, but boy, man, I feel like I'm very creative when it comes to the yeah buts or the reasons why things will not work. And when I actually do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it, right? What was I so afraid of?
Yeah, well, so that's a really good point, and that lines up exactly with what we're talking about in the services that you all provide, because in the absence of information, especially with something we've never done before, we really do paint our own picture in our mind based on previous experience or what we've heard other people say or what you see on social media or what your own internal feels are, your environment, your upbringing. So that's what a career coach can do is they can help repaint that picture in an accurate, meaningful way because they provide the information where before there was absence of it, right? So they help get clarity on that for anyone who reaches out.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite things that a mentor once said to me is, "Hey T, make sure you catch yourself thinking certain things, right? Because just because I think something, just because I feel something, or even deeply believe in something, doesn't necessarily make it true or even right." So catching myself, when I have these limiting beliefs, and I don't even believe they're limiting at that moment in time, right? Because it seems like fact, but really to turn off those things, the frustration, turn your frustration into fascination, turn your fear into curiosity.
Yep. Yeah, and that again, we touched on this before, the law of polarity, right? It's a law of nature, a natural scientific law, right? Everything has an equal opposite, right? So what does that mean? To your point, right? Up, down, in, out, off, on, hot, cold. So for every fear, there's a polar opposite. For every worry, there's a polar opposite. For every problem, there's a solution. We just have to pick ourselves up out of the emotion long enough to find it.
Right, right. So taking it a more of a fact-based approach as opposed to an emotional gut-based approach. I love that. So before we close out, I think it may be worth just to revisit some of the biggest mindset shifts we explored over the last 10 episodes, right? One of the things we spoke about is thinking about what you want. The framework you can use for that is the I.L.W.I framework, the income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity framework around, what kind of income goals, needs, and expectations do I have? What type of lifestyle goals, needs, and expectations do I have? In longer term, what kind of wealth and equity do I want to build? What kind of a legacy would I like to leave? Right. Then we also spoke about in some of the episodes how to break free from this negative thinking, right? And comparing ourselves to others or just staying stuck in what we know, right? Just because we went to school and we had a resume and we're in the W 2 world doesn't mean that that's the only thing that's out there, right? So just having the curiosity to explore what else could be possible. We spoke about the fact that, you know what, failure is okay because failure really is learning what doesn't work, right? That is a building block. If we didn't fall before we started to learn how to walk, we would never walk, right? If we tried to just run from the beginning, it just wouldn't happen that way. So we're so forgiving when we see that behavior in children, and yet we're striving for perfection as opposed to progress. So I remind myself when I feel myself resisting something or retreating, Tamara, are you trying to be perfect, or are you willing to just make progress towards that next goal? Right? We spoke about leveraging coaching. We mentioned that today, the power of aligning yourself with somebody, obviously, that you can trust, but who will take you out of your comfort zone so that you can have what you say that you want to have. And then the other thing, I think that was our last episode where we spoke about, just the mindset of lifelong learning and adaptability. So there's so many of the tools that we exposed you guys to. I think I already mentioned several of them today: the POD assessment, the possibilities, options, and dreams assessment, right? We spoke about the value of education, awareness, and discovery. But then, of course, the magic of taking action. Anything that you would like to comment on there?
No, I think this has been an amazing series, and putting it all together really is a life-changing event,
Yeah.
right? And
Um,
again, enough can't be said about the action.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And I mean, we literally have, I don't know whether tens of thousands of testimonials, but at least thousands and hundreds of them. As a matter of fact, we captured some footage recently when we spoke with someone who said that they spent years feeling stuck, but they just didn't know where to go until one small action changed everything. I think they engaged with a coach and they mustered up the courage, and that single shift, that curiosity just to say, hey, what do I have to lose, changed everything. It gave them a new direction. As a matter of fact, listen to what they had to say.
Once I decided that my corporate career wasn't working out as the best vehicle for me to achieve my goals, I had no idea what was next. Serendipity happened. That's when I got to meet my career ownership coach, a gentleman by the name of Steve, who was incredible and just holding a safe place to help me explore some alternatives that I had never considered, including franchising. I wasn't the next tech genius that was going to come up with the next thing and bootstrap a business from the ground up. But the idea of buying into a business with a system that's ready made, it's been validated for me to follow, it really opened up a whole new world that I never really saw coming. I had 1,000 different assumptions about what franchising was. Everyone thinks of McDonald's and brick and mortar and retail and things like that. The reality that I discovered with it is that there were thousands of possibilities that existed out there that didn't look anything like that at all. Everything from consulting work and solopreneur things like what I'm doing now to radically different businesses that make a difference in the world, for example. When we really started leaning into getting clarity about my goals first before looking at possibilities, that was a game changer for me. It wasn't with a specific outcome in mind. It was really about clarity about what's going to work best for me. And he was a great guide for me to find out what that really was.
Oh my gosh, Doc, this season has been such a joy. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for investing in yourself. So, to all our listeners out there, we cannot thank you enough for being curious. Now you have the tools, you have the resources. And what did we say today? Don't just wish for it, do something. So, what is that one meaningful thing that you can do today to take that next step towards making your dream a reality? I would guess by listening to this podcast, it is one step already. How about getting your own copy of the book, going through the thought exercises? Again, how do you get there? Go to careercompassshow.com, leave your information on that website, and let us know where we can send you the book. And possibly connect you with a career ownership coach. Like Doc already said, there is no cost, there is no obligation. So, what do you have to lose? Final thoughts from you, Doc.
Well, thank you so much, T. This has been amazing. I've enjoyed it immensely. Thank you to all the listeners. And again, let today be the day that you make the decision to take action without another day slipping by.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please go to yourcareerrevolution.com and request your free guide to the benefits of working with a career ownership coach. Thank you so much for listening.